Hi guys, I'm Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm bringing you another design team project for Pear Blossom Press. You know how much I love her lights. Anyway, when I got in this die set last month from Spellbinders, my first thought was, I need to make that light up. Yeah, so I've been holding off on making anything with this while I was getting other things done because I really wanted to use this and use it with the halo lights. So the lights we're going to use today are the halo lights. And I do have a template for that, and I will leave a link down below if you'd like to get my templates. Anyway, we're going to be using one of the halo lights to make our speedometer light up. I mean, when you're looking at a car, isn't that kind of the first thing that you see? Your speedometer, especially at night, the speedometer area is always lit up, right? So I thought, yes, let's go ahead and do that. And I'm really surprised nobody else has done that yet. Anyway, I've already got most of my things die cut out. I'm also trying out for the first time my DIY color deck from Spellbinders. I just went in there, grabbed one of the cards that's in there, and that's the one I'm going to use for some of my coloring choices, and this is the card that I picked. I think that is so super pretty, and I am in a tropical mood anyway. I did choose, first off, I had already decided I was going to do this as a black because I wanted the lights to show up the absolute best, but the other colors I'm using for this right now so far are gold, love gold, and blue. So the blue is one of the blues from in here. There's a lot of different colors of blue in here. So the other part that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a background with some stenciling, and I think I'm going to do kind of a sunrise sunset-ish kind of look with some of the peaches and oranges and things. So it's going to be, I'm going to pull inspiration from this, but it's not really going to match. So we're going to see how that goes. Let me go ahead and get out my stenciling stuff, and we will go ahead and start on that background. So I love those colors, but what I kind of want is a sunrise or sunset. So I am going to pick some colors from in here and just make myself a smooth blend background. My initial thought was that I was going to use a stencil, but to be honest, the stencil I wanted to use, which is also in that Classics Road Legends from Mindy, if I put that on there, it's going to be covered up by the speedometer. So I decided I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to start off with some Guppy right in the middle there. Kind of a bright color because that's kind of the mood that I'm in right now. Just pressing my brush down into the foam pad because Stellar inks are a foam pad. And just adding a bunch of that bright color right there in the center. This is going to be behind our speedometer. So I'm going to try to keep a lot of that there and try to just come in from the edges with the other colors. I may not actually use the blue. I was planning on going with Guppy and Prom Queen, and then one of the multiple of blues. Blue's my favorite. One of the multiple blues that I have from Simon Hurley. But I may not actually do that. I think I might actually leave it as much wide open as I can. So that first one was Guppy. And now we're going to come in with some Prom Queen. Again, pressing my brush down into the ink. And I'm going to come in from the outside. You may also notice that I've got myself a little turntable here. This is so that I can more easily move my cardstock so that I apply the ink where I want to a little easier. I'm right-handed. I tend to go from the right-hand upper side. So if I'm able to turn it like this, I'm able to still put the same pressure, the same work that I'm doing. I can do it from the same, basically the same spot. And I got this idea from watching Adhesive. If you haven't seen her, you really need to check out some of her videos. She does a lot of ink blending and stenciling, and she's more square card, and I always do my A2 rectangle, but she does a lot of square cards too. Her projects are just lovely. Okay, doesn't look like it's quite centered. That's okay. I'm just going to come back around with my Prom Queen again, fill a little bit more of that in, and then come back in with a second coat of Guppy. If you don't feel like you're getting as bold of a color as you want with your ink blending, just come in with another layer of the color and it should brighten it right up. It also helps all those colors to blend really well. Okay, so there was Prom Queen. And I'm going to come back in with some more Guppy. Basically starting in the center and moving a little bit out over some of that Prom Queen. I do really like this color. It's actually brighter than what I was envisioning, but I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so next I'm going to do a little bit of splatter because I can. And Simon Hurley's inks are all water reactive, so we're going to just add a little bit of water splatter. Let me get my distress sprayer. And you can already see those little droplets starting to lighten up. And because I can't just do that little bit, I have to use some of his solar spray. I just have to. Let's go with some, I think I want to do some of the golden hour. So we're going to have a little bit of gold shimmer on this. And if I'm lucky, I'll actually add it as a little bit of splatter too. You do want to shake this up really well. There's mica that sits on the bottom. If you don't shake it, it's liable to clog and you won't get that nice result that you're wanting. Okay, did get a little bit of splatter. So now I just need to let that dry and we can go on to putting everything together. Since I have to set this to the side, another good reason to have it on something, I'm able to move this one out of the way and bring in my other pieces so I can start assembling them. I've already got this pretty much all the die cuts done. I just need to start putting it all together. This is, let me put the white behind it so you can see. So this is the speedometer part. My thought is I'm going to put some vellum behind it and then we can add the lights behind that. I don't know if I need one layer or two, so I went ahead and did two. So if I want more diffusion, we can do that. Before I do that, though, I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of it together. So we've got a couple of pieces here. Got this guy, this circle is going to go right in the center there. Cut it out of some gold. Then we have this little piece that's going to go in the center there. And then, of course, our needle. And I'm just going to start gluing some of these pieces together. Okay, and then once the glue dries, you do want to make sure to take a paper towel and wet it a little bit and wipe that down. If you aren't able to catch it in time here, I'm going to still try it now. Because when you're working with a shiny cardstock like this, you don't really want those pieces, you don't want that glue to be showing on there, and it does kind of mess up the look. But I think, there we go, we caught it in time. That is going to look so cool. Yes, I love it. Okay, so now we've got that done. I'm going to also place these pieces over the top. We're basically getting all of our bits done before we put the lights on so that we can also give the background time to dry. I'm also doing all of this pretty much flat because I am, we are going to be using foam to prop our light mechanism up, and I'd like to have it as much as possible anyway. I'd like to have it level so it doesn't have trouble going through the mail. Okay, then we have this last piece here that I'm going to add to the front as well. And that also brings in the blue that's in our inspiration image. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to put an acrylic block over the top and let that dry while we're waiting for our panel to dry, and I'll be back in a sec. I'm really thinking I'm going to want to do 2 layers, but regardless, we need to adhere them together. So I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of my speedometer. And then I can put that circle on there. And we're not going to see where the adhesive is attached because it's going to be basically covering the whole thing, right? And just try to center that as best I can. There we go. And I figure we can test it first, and then if we don't like it, if we need to have a little bit more diffusion, which is what I think is going to happen, I can add the second one on there. And then if I don't need to, I can use this for another project. So let's go ahead and take a look at our initial panel. So that looks pretty good. Now the easiest way to get it off of a grip mat is for you to lift the grip mat and just fold it back, just like you would if you're using your Cricut or Scan and Cut or one of those other machines. There we go. And now I'm going to try to clean some of this up. Since this is Simon Hurley ink, it's probably not going to stain as much as some of the others, but I've already got some black ink that has stained this mat. That is his new black ink, by the way. And so I'm expecting it to probably stain, but I am getting most of this up. Oh my goodness, this looks lovely. I am loving that. So let's go ahead and take out our light and do a quick test and see how it's going to work on there. Now this design, I really don't need the template, but I do have a template here to help us decide where to put. Actually, it will be useful on the front after I install the light. So I've got this one is ready to go. It comes, this package anyway, came with little tabs in there to make it so that you don't burn up your battery. This one lights up, this one does not, because that is blocking, that is basically blocking the connection. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to place this down kind of in the center there and behind my lights, and we're going to just take a look. Oh my goodness, I think that works perfectly. Only thing is, it might be reflecting off of some of the white, so let's go ahead and detach that. And place it down again, and then we'll put our piece over the top and we'll see if it looks good there. It still looks wonderful. I don't need another piece of vellum behind this after all. So that is going to be perfect. So now what I need to do is I need to put this on the back and have it lined up right where I need it. Now I can see through where those numbers are, and I kind of want these lights, I think, a little bit below that. But I also don't want this to be showing. So I kind of need to have it up high enough so that it's hidden. And I think that still works. So that's going to be where I'm going to be adding this. Let me grab a piece of double-sided adhesive. This is going to help this piece stay onto my focal image. Just going to add a little bit of tape there. And burnish it down so that I can get the release paper off. I always have trouble with the release paper on double-sided tape. Doesn't matter which tape it is, I always have issues with it where I can't get my fingernails under it. So I always use a pokey tool. And thank you, Miss Gloria Wolf, for this one. I love it. Okay, let's try this one more time. Again, I want to make sure I'm looking through. Here's the point from that front piece. There's the point. I kind of want this to be centered right above that, behind the black, so it's not going to be seen, and it's the perfect height for this too. There we go. I think that is going to work perfect. Now I have to say that the lights are a little bit higher than what I initially wanted, but I think this is still going to work great. So next what I need is some foam tape. So what I'm going to use is my World's Best foam tape into the roll. Into the roll of this one. This tape is fabulous. If you haven't already tried it, you need to. First off, when you're making light up cards or shakers or something like that, this is double thick, so you only need one layer. Okay. Second, there's actually 3 fabulous things. That was number 1. Number 2 is if the release paper comes off super, super easy. Remember I was having trouble with the double-sided tape release paper? This stuff is no problem, even for my big old nails. And then third, it is repositionable for 30 minutes. That is the selling feature. That is the one thing that I got this for. I mean, I love Amanda, but when she came out with this, it's like, oh my God, you did what? And then, well, she said that she was coming out with it, and then it wasn't here. And I'm like, what? Where is it? Okay, I need to make sure not to go over any of my numbers there. In the center, I'm good. I'm going to place this right in the middle there, and that's going to help keep the center propped up. But now I need to add a little bit on the sides too. And this is just so that it doesn't, I want to make sure that it stays level as much as possible. I'm probably going to have to trim these up. So I don't want it to go past that line there. So it's going to go right there. Actually, it's going to go back a little bit and go right there. And then this one is going to go right about there. So the double-sided tape didn't stick really, really well to the vellum. That is totally fine because it gave me a chance to be able to actually see through where the numbers were to make sure that I'm not covering any of those. And now I can just take off all of that release paper and stick it back down, and then it'll be ready to go onto our card base. I did do a little bit of testing, and I do have all of my foam where I need it. So now I need to just put my mechanism back where I want it. So we're going to line it up kind of at the bottom. It needs to stay on the black. And then there we go. And then test and make sure, okay, this light was actually being covered up by our foam. I don't want that, so I'm going to have to shift it over a bit. And just double checking all of the things, because you can move it all around. As long as it's not showing on the front, you are good to go. Okay, I think that will, nope. I need to shift it back up a little bit. Some of this is just trial and error, guys. You just keep on going till you get it right where you want it. So this, I think, looks great. It looks like like the speedometer in my car. Awesome. Okay, I love that. I'm going to press that down onto the foam so that everything is going to stick. So now I'm just trimming my panel down to 4 by 5 1/4. So it's just a little bit trimmed down. And then we can put it onto a card base. Now, trimming it down like that means that I'm going to have a little bit of a white border all the way around, and that's what I like. Okay, so we're going to just put that down with some liquid glue. I'm using Barely Arts glue in my precision glue press. I'm just going to center that right in the middle there. I do love that little extra that splatter did for the background. Okay, and then all we need to do is just put this right over the top. I think I'm going to add a little bit more double-sided tape though down to the bottom here, just to make it hold a little bit better to the cardstock. I mean, the foam tape is going to hold it well, but we don't really have anything holding that piece of metal to the card. So we're going to go with that and keep lighting up the lights. Love, love, love this. And this is turning out pretty much the way I envisioned. I love it when a card comes together like that, because you never know. Okay. Now I'm going to try using my tweezers to help me position this, because that's kind of what I normally do to try to get everything straight. But I think I'm also going to use try to use my T-square. This is the Pear Blossom Press T-square. There we go. It is A2 size, so it's perfect size for this type of card, and the measurement and everything is awesome. Plus, it's got these cool jigs on there. I didn't need to use the jigs this time because since this is so big, I didn't really want to have that much white space around it. But it does work well when you're trying to use it just as a regular T-square. So what I need to try to do is line up the gold pieces with my T-square at about the middle of the card before I press anything down. Actually, I just had a thought. This side is flat, this side has got the jig. So on the flat side, I'm just gonna pop it down with the tape that's on there, and that's gonna help me line everything up perfectly. Except it's too far over that way. Let's try that again. Let's go closer to the edge over here. I have it lined up with the edge. And then I can pop that down on here, and then I can rearrange it the way I want it. Hadn't tried this before, so we're going to see how that does. Okay, I think that is about centered both directions and lined up straight. So I'm just going to press down so the foam catches, and then I can pop that off. There we go. It's actually right in the center of my card. I love that. And pressing the button right there does make everything light up. Perfect. So there's a couple of different ways that you can mark the place. Yes, mark the place where you want the lights to go. Now, one is to line this up with where the button is and draw the button. I think the button's about there. But I think in this case, my template is really not going to help me. So what I'm going to just do, let's get our pencil. Let's just press where we think it is and do a real light. There we go, right there. Okay, so that is where I'm going to put my press here button. Before we do that though, I've also got a sentiment to add. So to help me place my sentiment easier, first off, the sentiments I'm using are from the, I will link it down below. I don't remember, but it is the die set that it was part of the same collection from Spellbinders. I'm using some press and seal to hold my sentiments so that I'll be able to place them right where they're supposed to go on the bubble cut that is going behind them. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of liquid glue to the back. Again, this is some Barely Arts glue. This is the other, there were two bottles that were included with my glue press, and one has a fine tip and the other one has a regular tip. And so I have the regular tip with the glue press to help me put down glue, a lot of it at once. And then this one is for me to use with the fine tip for these little bitty finicky bits. Okay, so I've got to put this down. I think it goes this way, I think. And then we're going to just layer this over the top. And it should let me put that right down. Yep, that is correct. Right down in the middle there. And just press it down. And now we have our sentiment that is ready to go onto our card. Okay, so what I'm going to use for the button is this stamp set. Pear Blossom Press has got a stamp and die bundle that has all the fun little a little call to action, if you will, all the little things to tell the person who receives the card what they need to do. We've got push, pull, press, scratch off. Yes, she has scratch offs. Push, press here. We have a couple little candle flames, or you can have them as raindrops if you wanted. We've got a couple of stars, a handmade by you light bulb, and we have the word blow that goes along with the candle light that you have to blow out. The one that you can tell which ones I use the most. Yes. So I'm going to be using the press here for this card. And I'm just going to stamp it on some more of that same blue cardstock that I've used already on here. You can see that's exactly where I cut it out from. And this time I'm going to actually stamp in Midnight Snack ink from Simon Hurley. And then we're going to die cut this out. Now the reason I'm using this, I want it to be blue, but I want it to be seen, but not too much. So this might be too dark. We're just going to have to see how it turns out. If it turns out too dark, then I'll go back over and probably use, not high tide. High tide's too light, but maybe use Clear Skies. But I know that Clear Sky is about the same color as this. So yeah, I don't really want to do that, but it may just be a real nice tone on tone. Let's see how this one looks. Okay, I think that that's going to be good enough. So now I just need to die cut that little circle. And lucky for us, Amanda also has some dies that go right along with the stamp set. So now I'm going to glue my button right in place. And I think I'm going to have it at a little bit of an angle. I tend to do that a lot. So just have it saying press here. I love that. I'm sorry. And then we can add our happy birthday. And I don't mind that it's going to overlap a little bit. I think that's actually going to be perfect. Okay, let's take our handy T-square again. Now we know right where the thing's going to go. And I just want it to go a little bit below that edge. Keeps on catching on the gold. Okay, add a little bit of glue to the back of our sentiments and pop those down. And there we go. A fun light up dashboard. Happy birthday card. I hope you enjoyed this. And thank you again so much for coming and hanging out with me today as I worked on this project for Pear Blossom Press. I think it turned out perfect. This is exactly as I envisioned it, and I am so tickled that it turned out so nice. Well, you guys have a wonderful day. Be sure to check out this playlist over here to see some more light up card videos, and be sure to check out my channel for more crafty goodness. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.